what kind of data do you all look at on the Algebra 1 team, or Algebra 1? Yeah, Algebra 1 team.
A lot of the times we look at summative data when we have a whole team conversation. We look at students' individual learning objective scores. We grade everything, each question on a summative by individual learning objective, which are their individual skills for that unit. So we look at that data a lot as a team, but we will also bring together our formative data. If we have exit tickets that we've done, we'll bring that together to see where the kids are and what we need to do to help them.
The other thing that Algebra 1 does is when they're doing their unit planning, a lot of times they will plan the formatives around what data they want to look at. So they might plan an exit ticket specifically based off of something that they want evidence for that may not come up for 2 or 3 classes later, but that way they can bring it back in to do like small group instruction and have the conversations around the information formatively before they even get to the summative assessment.
Once you have the data, how do you plan the data dialogues?
We try to fit them in where, if it fits nicely, where we have a unit that uses the previous data. So for example, when we taught our equations unit, the next unit was inequalities, and those two really go hand in hand. So we try to keep them close together. So if based on the previous data, if we need to make adjustments for the next unit or the upcoming units, we can do that quickly with a turnaround.
And then how do you choose which data to review?
We review everything,
yeah.
pretty much. Yeah.
And so we look at our summative data after the end of the unit, obviously. Our formative data, we try to look at, since we plan our exit tickets, like Karen mentioned, very mindful of when we do them and what specifically we're looking at. Though we kind of, when we lesson plan, we try to plan when we'll talk about that as well to see if the lesson didn't go as we thought or they're not doing as we expected, how we can adjust the upcoming lessons for that.
Yeah, I would also add that at the end of the unit, one thing that they do as part of their data dialogue routine is they actually reopen everything we put in front of kids. So every task that they used, they reopen it to have a discussion around how did it go, everything from pacing to how the students did with it, to how it fit into their instruction that day, and they make notes about what they might change if they were to reuse it the following year, whether it's good as is or whether they would not reuse it and why.
When you're looking at the data, who's at the table during these conversations?
We have our whole team. So we have, there's three gen ed teachers, there's one special education teacher, and then we have our coach and our admin.
And where do you document or communicate how you respond?
We have a huge spreadsheet of student data that's mostly summative data. We do have some formative data when we have something more formal that's formative. If we have a shared spreadsheet where we can access every teacher's scores, everyone's in one place, everyone's classes are in one place as well.
How do you know that you've made an impact?
I think that when the students are able to see their scores on stuff along with feedback and they're able to look at that and it is meaningful to them and they can ask follow-up questions, they can see their growth, they are able to process the data themselves. I think it's our work has then impacted the students and then it's meaningful to both parties. So it's not just an 85 on their paper and they don't know where that came from. They know very specifically what area they need to focus on or what areas they did really well with.